My name is Emma. I am 28, living in the quiet, tree-lined streets of Chicago's Lincoln Park. It's a peaceful neighborhood, full of charming shops and friendly faces. By all appearances, I have a good life, a kind husband, a lovely apartment, a steady job at the bookstore. Yet every morning I wake with a weight on my chest. A deep, unshakable sadness has made a home inside me. 1 year ago, I made a terrible mistake. I married a man named Leo. He is 32, gentle, generous, and always wears a soft smile. But I do not love him. I said yes for all the wrong reasons. Heartbroken by my ex, Alex, I was desperate to move on. I thought marriage would heal me. I told myself love might grow in time. It never did, and now I am the one causing pain. Leo does everything to make me happy. Every Friday, he brings me flowers. He cooks when I'm tired, leaves tender notes in my lunch bag, calls me his sunshine, kisses my forehead. Any woman would feel blessed to have such a man. Yet his kindness only deepens my sorrow, because I cannot love him back. One night, under a sky scattered with stars, he turned to me on the balcony and said, "Emma, I know you don't love me yet, but I believe you will. I can wait. My love is strong enough for both of us." His words tore at something fragile in me. He was so hopeful, while I felt utterly hollow. Every day I wear a mask. I smile when my heart is numb. I say thank you when I feel nothing. This life I'm living, it isn't mine. My mother once told me, "Love can grow with time, Emma. Marriage isn't just passion, it's kindness, respect, patience." I clung to her words. I tried to be patient, but with each passing day, I felt more like a stranger in my own skin. One Friday evening, Leo prepared a special dinner, my favorite chicken pasta, candles, soft music. He wore the blue shirt I like. "This is for you," he said, his eyes glowing. "You're my everything." I managed a faint smile. "Thank you." But inside, I was empty. The food tasted like nothing. The music felt distant. I was an actress in a play, reciting lines that weren't mine. After dinner, we walked to the small park near our home, the very spot where, under an old oak tree, he had proposed 1 year before. "Remember?" he said softly. "I promised I'd love you forever." I looked at that tree, then at his hopeful face, and wanted to scream, "I don't love you, Leo!" But the words stuck in my throat. I stayed silent, hating myself for it. That night, sleep wouldn't come. I stared at the ceiling for hours, wondering, will I ever feel happiness again? The next morning, my best friend Nena called. "You sound tired," she said. I tried to say I was fine, but the truth spilled out in a whisper. "I don't love him, Nena. I married him to forget someone else. Now I feel trapped." She was quiet, then gently said, "Maybe you need space. Time apart might help you see your heart more clearly." I shook my head, even though she couldn't see me. "It's not time, Nena. My heart feels nothing for him." Later, I sat beside Leo on the sofa, gathering courage to speak. "Leo, I need to tell you." But he gently interrupted. "I know what you're going to say," he whispered. "Please, don't give up on us yet. I still believe we can make this work." His eyes so full of hope made my heart sink. I couldn't bear to crush that hope, yet I knew I had nothing to give. One Sunday he asked me something that left me frozen. "Emma," he began softly, "would you like to have a baby? I think it could bring us closer." Fear shot through me. A child? With someone I didn't love? I looked down, my voice barely audible. "I'm not ready, Leo." He nodded slowly, hurt flashing in his eyes before he looked away. His quiet acceptance only made me feel worse. That night I wrote in my journal, "I am drowning in this marriage. Leo is a good man, but I can't be the wife he deserves." And later, "Sometimes I want to leave, but I'm afraid. What will people say? That I'm selfish? That I didn't try hard enough?" One evening, I packed a small bag. I stood by the door, watching Leo sleep, peaceful, trusting. My bag in hand, I hesitated, then let it drop. I slid to the floor and cried without a sound. The next morning, Leo brought me coffee, kissed my cheek, and said, "Good morning, my love. I still believe in us." His faith was breaking me. I wanted to shout, "Stop hoping!" But again, I stayed quiet. I moved to the window and watched life outside. A dog running, children laughing, the sun shining. The world moved on, while I stood still, trapped in a life that wasn't mine. I knew one thing for certain: I couldn't live like this forever. Before I go on, I want to ask you something. Where are you listening from? Knowing someone is out there, listening, understanding, it gives me strength. Please tell me in the comments. I'd really love to know. Days dragged on. I woke, made breakfast, worked at the bookstore, came home, and smiled for Leo. But inside, I was crumbling from the constant pretending. One Saturday, Leo came home early with 2 movie tickets. "Let's go out tonight," he said brightly. "Just you and me. I want to see you smile again." I nodded yes, though my heart said no. That evening, I wore a nice dress, applied lipstick, and played the part. In the theater, Leo held my hand, laughed at the funny scenes, glanced at me often, searching for a joy I couldn't show. "That was fun, right?" he asked afterward. "Yes," I said. "It was nice." But inside, I felt cold. Back home, he made tea and wrapped his arm around me on the couch. "I've missed you, Emma," he whispered. I turned away, silent, knowing my silence hurt him more than any words could. The next day, I met Nena at a cafe by the lake. The sky was gray, the wind bitter. "You don't look well," she said, concern in her eyes. "You look exhausted." I took a deep breath and poured out my heart again. "I feel trapped, Nena, like I'm in a box with no door. Leo is good. Everyone will hate me if I hurt him." She took my hand. "No one can live your life for you. If you're not happy, you must be honest. Leo deserves the truth, and so do you." Her words resonated, but fear still held me. What if I break him? What if I regret leaving? That night, I sat by the window, staring at the glowing windows of other homes. Were those people happy, or were they pretending too? Leo joined me, his gaze tender. "You've been so quiet lately," he said. "I feel like I'm losing you." I wanted to speak the truth, but fear sealed my lips. "I'm just tired," I murmured. "Work has been busy." He simply nodded, but I saw the sadness deepen in his eyes. The following week, Leo planned a weekend trip to Lake Geneva. "Maybe the fresh air will help," he said. Again, I said yes when I meant no. The lake was serene, the scenery beautiful, but inside I felt numb. We stayed in a small hotel by the water. Walking along the shore that evening, Leo took pictures, laughed, held my hand. "This is nice, right?" he asked. My heart stayed silent. I felt like a ghost in a dream that belonged to someone else. That night, he gave me a small box. Inside was a delicate necklace with a tiny heart pendant. "This is for you," he said. "My heart is yours." Tears filled my eyes, not from happiness, but from the crushing guilt of knowing I couldn't cherish his gift. "Thank you," I whispered. Later, while he slept, I sat on the floor beside the bed, thinking of the day we met, how kind he was when Alex left me. He helped me heal, made me smile, but I never loved him. I married him broken, believing that being with someone kind was better than being alone. Now I knew it's worse to live without love. When we returned to Chicago, I began writing letters to myself, never to be shared. One read, "Emma, you are not a bad person. You made a mistake without malice. You wanted to heal, but now you must be brave. You must find your truth." Another said, "Leo is not your enemy. He is a good man, but he is not your home. You cannot give him what he needs." Writing helped me see my own pain clearly. A few days later, Nina called. "You sound stronger," she said. I replied, "I'm thinking of telling Leo everything. He deserves the truth." "I'm proud of you," she said softly. That evening, with trembling hands, I made tea and asked Leo to sit with me. "I need to tell you something," I began. He looked at me steady. "Okay." I took a breath that felt like it reached my soul. "Leo, I care about you. You are a good man, but I don't love you. I never did. I married you because I was hurting. I thought love would come, but it didn't." Leo was still. His face remained calm, but his eyes glistened. "I knew, Emma," he said quietly. "I saw it in your eyes. I just didn't want to believe it." Tears streamed down my face. "I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you." He nodded slowly. "I love you, Emma. I really do. But I can't be the only one trying. If your heart isn't here, I can't hold you back." Even in his pain, he was kind. We sat in a heavy, honest silence. No yelling, no blame. Just the raw ache of two hearts realizing they beat out of rhythm. I slept on the couch that night, whispering into the darkness. I told the truth. I finally told the truth. I didn't know what came next, but for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. The following days were quiet. We shared the apartment but lived separately. Me in the guest room, him in our bed. He still made coffee each morning, leaving a cup for me on the table, but now without notes, without smiles, just space. At work, I stayed busy helping customers, arranging shelves, answering questions, but my mind was elsewhere, wondering what the future held. Nana visited me at the bookstore one afternoon, hugging me tight. "How are you holding up?" "I'm okay," I said. "It's hard, but I feel more honest now." "That's a start," she smiled. "What's next?" "I think I need to leave," I whispered. "It's time." That evening, I told Leo I wanted to move out. He wasn't surprised. "Do you have somewhere to go?" Nena offered her guest room, I said. He nodded, quiet for a moment. I'm not angry, Emma, just sad. But maybe this is right. Tears welled again. I never wanted to break your heart. He gave a faint, gentle smile. You didn't break it. I gave it to you freely, even if you couldn't keep it. I don't regret loving you. The next morning, I packed lightly. Clothes, a few books. The apartment felt heavy with memories. Leo helped me carry my bag to the door. If you ever need anything, call me, he said. Thank you for everything, Leo. You were always good to me. He looked at me one last time. Take care, Emma.
Nena was waiting in her car. Let's go, she said softly. I got in and we drove away. I didn't look back. At her apartment, I sat in the guest room and cried, not from missing Leo, but from the storm of emotions within me, guilt, sorrow, fear, and a fragile, newfound hope. For the first time, I had chosen honesty. I had taken a step toward myself. Days turned into weeks. I cooked with Nena, cleaned, watched movies. She gave me room to grieve, never pushing, always there. I began taking long walks by the lake, watching life unfold around me, people laughing, living, being. It soothed me. One day, in a small cafe, I saw a flyer for a creative writing class. Something stirred in me. Try this, a voice inside whispered. I signed up. The class was intimate. We wrote, we shared. Slowly, my voice returned. I wrote about loss, about searching, about hope. One evening, I wrote in my notebook, I lost love before I ever found it. But now I'm finding myself. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled. Weeks later, a message arrived from Leo. Hi, Emma. I hope you're doing well. I've joined a cooking class. It helps me stay busy. No pressure to reply, just wanted you to know I'm okay. I read it several times before responding. Hi, Leo. Thank you for your message. I'm glad you're okay too. I'm in a writing class now. It's helping me. Wishing you peace and happiness. We didn't speak again, but it felt like a gentle, kind closure. Months passed. I found a small studio apartment near the bookstore. Simple, but mine. I painted the walls a soft yellow, placed flowers on the windowsill, hung a picture of the lake. Each morning, I made my own coffee and sat by the window, watching the world wake up. Sometimes I felt lonely, yes, but I also felt free. I still thought of Leo. I hoped with all my heart he would find someone who could love him fully. He deserved that. While cleaning one day, I found the heart necklace from Lake Geneva. I held it, remembering. Then I placed it in a small box with a note. Thank you for your kindness. I couldn't wear it, but I will never forget it. Nena returned it to him for me. As seasons changed, I changed too. I smiled more, made new friends, laughed genuinely. I began to feel like myself again, not a shadow, not a performer, but Emma. One night, I looked in the mirror and saw a woman with weary eyes, but a gentle smile. A woman who had been lost, but was now walking her own path. I whispered, "It's not a perfect story, but it's mine. I'm still learning, still growing. I don't know what the future holds, but I know this now. Never marry for the wrong reasons. Never silence your heart." If you're out there feeling like I did, you are not alone. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to start again. Be honest. Be brave. Your heart knows the truth. Thank you for listening to my story. It isn't full of easy smiles and fairy tale endings, but it's real. And sometimes being real is the bravest thing we can be. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon.